What's up, everyone? This is Matt Mrozik, and this will be an update on this ever going on pain in the ass 1/24th excess bust. So this thing's been kicking my ass the past few days, especially the head. Everything was going really smooth until I got to the head. The wiring on this thing is a bitch. So for anyone who's building this kit in the future, I've rewired the head. This is the third time I've rewired it. The first time I did it, I exchanged all the kit wiring for a thicker wire, a heavier gauge wire. I think this is 26 gauge. Don't do that. It's too thick, it doesn't bend, and there's not enough room in the head for this wire. So then I went to a smaller gauge, 28 gauge, still not enough room. So I had to tear it all out, and I was getting shorts, things weren't working. So finally I found at a local electronics store 30 gauge wire wrapped in silicone. This stuff is actually pretty awesome. Now this wasn't it wasn't expensive, it wasn't cheap. I could get it probably cheaper on Amazon, but it's 30 gauge, it's super thin, and it's wrapped in silicone, so it's super flexible. You can twist it, it bends really well. So you can see I have this huge like rat's nest of wires, and it's actually a lot neater than it was before, but it allows me to kind of shove everything together and push the wires in there and get everything to fit. So got that problem solved after the third time. I'm like on 20 hours of this, just wiring this damn head. This part of the head, this material is extremely fragile. I have broken this thing in 3 places. I broke it here once, twice, broke it on the other side, and broke it down here. There's a spring that goes into a hole. So be very careful with this. I don't know what this material is, but it's very fragile. It likes to break, it's brittle. So God knows if this thing's gonna work when I'm done. I don't know. Right now, the last time I plugged everything in, the LEDs were working and the motors were working. Also, on this part of the head, where this part comes down right here, there's a nice little peg. You can actually see it sticking out right now. Let me get some light on it and get a pointer so you can know what I'm talking about. This little white son of a bitch right here likes to pop out, and if it does that, it prevents this part from coming down. So I'm gonna actually push that in there and put a little dab of CA on it. As you can see, I've got to re-glue this part once again right here. I've glued it like 1,000 times. Yeah, I'm like really done with this. So basically, it's just been kicking my ass. The wiring of the head, this material right here is just so freaking fragile. You know, it's really been a pain in the ass. So I'm gonna try to show you that this is actually working right now. It worked the last time I plugged it in. So once I get the head together, I'm not taking it apart like ever again. Whether it stops working or not, it just is what it is. I'm over it. It's very frustrating, and a lot of it has to do with my lack of experience with soldering and stuff. But now I feel really comfortable with it. I've done it so many fucking times on this thing. I'm comfortable with it. Now it's just a matter of like the quality of like this mechanism here. This material is really shitty. I'd rather spend like an extra $100 on this thing and have this made out of like aluminum or something metal wise. Again, then you're dealing with having electronics in here and shorting stuff out, but you know, I'd rather deal with that. So the last thing I got to do right now before I test this again, I got to put a piece of heat shrink on this, and solder this together and get a piece of heat shrink on it. I was going to use these little plugs. There's not enough room in here. Once you get them on there, they're too big. You can't close the head. So basically, I've got enough slack and everything that I can pull the head apart if I need to, and that's where that really flimsy wire comes in, because it allows you kind of shove stuff all together, and get it kind of shoved in there. So what I am using is like I'm just soldering all this crap together now, just the last lead of the power cord, and I'm also going to give you some suggestions on the instructions on which part of the instructions to use for the wiring, because that, once again, the wiring diagrams, there's only one wiring diagram you should use is this one. Don't pay attention to anything else, only use this, because this shows you Now this looks confusing, but compared to the other ones, this one makes a hell of a lot more sense. So for the head, these two LEDs are the eyes, and on the let me show you how this works. And it took me a while to kind of figure this out. So for the eyes, which is right here where my thumb is, there's a number 1. Well, that refers to number 1 on this diagram. So that's number 1. This shows you clearly where all the resistors go and where all the polarities are supposed to go. At first, the first time I tried to use this, and it was a nightmare because you have all these parts, you're trying to follow all these lines together, and on this side it actually is missing a resistor. There should be a resistor between these two gun cannon LEDs, and they don't show that. So the first time I wired it, it shorted out. I mean, I burnt the LEDs like in a heartbeat. So I had to go buy new LEDs because they only give you 4, and I wanted them to match. So I bought new red LEDs. So yeah, this is great for putting the parts together. It's shit for wiring. This is what you need to use for wiring. So this is the eyes. This is the front of the forehead where the V fin is. This is in the up where the incom is. These are your two left, that could be your right gun cannons, left gun cannons up in the head, top of the head, and these are where the side panels open for the head. So I'm gonna, you know what I did? Damn it! I was too busy talking and I forgot to put some heat shrink on this. So hopefully I can get this apart. So I was too busy talking. So let me unsolder this real quick. That's what happens when I start talking and I'm in a pissy mood. I get ahead of myself. There we go. So, and also I broke this plug right here from plugging it in and out so many damn times. It broke, so I went and bought some more. Unfortunately, the ones I bought, the polarity reverse, so I had to fix that. So this has been a headache. I've been working on the wiring on this head since like Wednesday. it's like freaking forever. I was wanting to get the wiring done before the weekend because I'm almost done with the painting. So once the wiring is done, I'm in the home stretch. So now I got to heat this back up. Let's see if I can't get this wire back in there. And it's a good thing that I used my automotive clear, the U-Pole acrylic urethane on this thing, because I've been manhandling this thing. And if it was any other kind of clear coat than what I used, it would be complete, like my paint job would be destroyed on this head. So it's a good thing I used that because it's super durable. Now there are a few scuffs here and there, but I can sand them out really easy. I gotta get this heated back up so I can get this wire back in there. Come on. Heat up. So I've been extremely frustrated. It's a very slow process for me. God, I was like up till 1 o'clock to like 2 nights in a row. The first night I was up till like 1 in the morning trying to get this thing wired, unsuccessfully. Then I tore it all out, did it again. And just when I thought I had everything working, again, I tried to put the head together and things were shorting out. And then I get to see me try to fix this little blunder right here. Where are my little helping hands? These little helping hands have been like a savior. So yeah, I'm sure this isn't as hard as it's come out to be. Again, it's a lot of my lack of experience with wiring and stuff, but yeah. So hopefully this will heat up shortly and I can plug this back in. Come on. You can do it. Oh, my temperature got knocked down on my rheostat. Crank it up a little bit. I also made the mistake of leaving my soldering iron on for like 3 days straight. And I went through a tip. I had to take the tip off. It just like was all. Luckily, I didn't burn my house down. So you can't see what I'm doing right now because my hand's in the way. But I'm trying to get this solder reactivated and it's not wanting to heat up for some reason. There we go. Come on. So it's just a very slow process for me. Extremely frustrating. Lots of cussing. Lots of wanting to throw this thing against the wall. I was almost to the point where I was gonna call Meg or tell Am, I was like, hey, look, I'm not gonna get this done in time because I'm having all these problems. But if I get this wiring straightened out and working, then I'll be good to go. So like when I do the article, there's not going to be any, like, I'm not going to cover the wiring because it would not be a good representation of how to do this. So I'm not sure if they're going to get upset at me for doing that. I don't know why it's not heating up. Come on, there it goes. I just had too much, my tip was too dirty, I think. Come on. This is what I'm talking about. It's just not cooperating right now. My soldering iron is not cooperating. I don't know why, but it's not. Like, this should melt like instantaneously and it's not doing it. Come on. Okay, leave it there for a minute and see if it'll melt. Oh, and get out of the candy! My son is hoarding Halloween candy as fast as he can. So I don't know why this is not heating up. Like the solder is not melting. It's melting on my soldering iron just fine. There it goes. Finally. That was weird. It just did not want to go in there. Okay. Jeez. That was a nightmare. Okay. So now use my heat shrink this so I don't get any shorts, hopefully. It's gonna get loud for a second while I turn on my hair dryer. Okay. So now before I try to close this up again, I need to fix this damn mechanism again. So you can see how I'm handling this head. If that didn't have that acrylic urethane clear on this, it would be like a disaster. So this whole thing is just kind of a shitty quality design. I'm not sure how else to fix this, to be honest. I wish I knew a machinist. I would give this to him, like, here, make this out of metal for me. Now, before I put this, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to put this together here. We'll see. Let's see, we got to plug it in first. And then last night, when I was testing this again for the 500th time, the motor function for the head to go up and down was not working. So that part of this motor may be fried. I'm not sure. It's within the motor. I'm not going to take it apart to find out. But that function may not work anymore on this. Another thing you have to be careful is that you have enough slack in the wires for this top part and these side armors form to close. You have to have enough slack in the wires for those two to move. So this is tricky because you have to get this all together all at the same time while shoving these wires in. But it goes together much easier than to be the other day. I was having to really squeeze it to get together, and it was not working. So these new wires has made all the difference as far as that part goes. And then I'm just pushing all these wires down into the head, so they're not in the way of any of the mechanisms. We'll see if this wants to work. I don't know. I'm hoping it does. Shit, that broke again. This piece right here is a motherfucker. Sorry for the language, but it's so freaking frustrating at this point. I wonder if I should laminate that with a piece of plow plate or something. I may do that. I'm gonna go ahead and screw this together real quick. The paint looks good so far. That's the only positive thing I have to say about this. Somewhere over in this mess is my Allen wrench to put this together. Give me 1 second, guys. Where did you go, Allen wrench? There it is. So hindsight in 2020, I should have picked a much easier model to do than this. Should have picked I don't know. I was trying to do something cool, something different, and it's kind of bit me in the butt. And then in the front here, it's got this wonky, you know, it worked good in the other part of the kit. I was commenting how cool it was with this magnet connection thing. So I got 2 wires sticking out here that these magnets are supposed to go into. Unfortunately, the front of the head doesn't fit together real tight, and there's no room to pin. If I tried to pin it, I'd come through the edge of the armor. So more than likely, once I get this all working, I'm just going to glue the front of that head on, and then if I ever have to take the head apart for whatever reason, I don't plan on doing it, I'll just have to break that glue joint, but that's not the end of the world. And then I'm trying to get all these wires away from the little motor mechanism in there, pushing them. There's actually a little space in the front of the head right here, a little void right there. So I'm taking all these wires and I'm just trying to push them into that void. My initial thought was I'd take some hot glue and kind of glue these along the side of the head inside, but then it would be really difficult to put the head together. So we'll see. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see if this crap's working. Okay, so get some light on it. Well, no, nothing's working. Great. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that's like auto mode. This part up here does not want to come down all the way. So the good news is that my LEDs are working. So those are going good. And this is the part right here I was talking about. I've got 2 magnets on there right now. And when I put them in there, it closes the circuit. So my initial thought is I'm going to just suck it up and I'm gonna maybe just glue it into place. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because it's a very kind of wonky connection anyway. So that's why there hasn't been a whole lot of videos on this, because it's been so trial and error trying to get this thing to work. It's been really frustrating. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna probably end up 30-minute epoxying that into place. I think that's gonna be my best bet. And then the incom part, it's actually supposed to get screwed into place, but you have to screw it into place before you put the head together. So I didn't do that. I'm just going to leave it because it'll fit in there. Because in order to do it, you have to put this together first and then screw it into place. But it actually fits in there perfectly once it's together. Like, you can just slide it in and out, and it'll do that. So that just falls out right now because it's not in there permanently. So now I can it opens up, and there's an LED there, and there's an LED in there. You can see it. So while I have this here, let's put some of these armor on and see how it closes up. If it closes up at all. Again, another long video because it's just me sitting here trying to problem solve all this, trying to get it to work. Now there's a, oh, that screwed up my paint pretty good there. I got a nice chip. This may not close all the way over here because there's a spring over here that's not attached because, of course, that part of the mechanism has broken again. So we'll see. Yeah, it doesn't close all the way there. Okay, the right side closes pretty good. The left side is not wanting to close all the way. It's hitting something. Let's see. I'm not sure why it's not closing all the way. It's a pretty significant difference there. You can see it's not closing all the way right here. The right side's looking really good. Maybe because I don't have that spring. Okay, well, I'll have to play with that, see why it's not going all the way in. Feels like it's binding on something. I'm not sure what. So there's that. And then this probably won't work right now because I didn't. This will go on the back here. So that's kind of where I am right now. That's it for this video because it's going to be several more hours of me goofing around this thing trying to get it to work. But yeah, that's where I am on this thing. Still working on the head. Hopefully I'll get it knocked out today or tomorrow. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.